to another episode, whatever you want to call it, outside the box. You know, really want to get our mentality outside the box that we've been put in, outside the casket we've been put in. There's been a whole lot of boxes going on around here, including jail cells. You feel me? So, box Chevys, what else boxes? A bunch of shoe boxes where the money was stashed there, all that good stuff. But, yeah. We call this the beginning. We call this the tap in. We're gonna tap in one time. We're gonna go around the table just so you know who you dealing with and listening to, no matter how you listening and tuning in. We're gonna start with you. We got a newcomer at the table. I don't know who he is. He looks suspect. What's your name?
Of course I look suspect. I'm Arab. My name's Ahmed.
Ahmed?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Nice to meet you. My name's Armand King. As you know, King Beaming. Pull up. People acting quiet coming in here like they ain't on 5 different cameras. Hey, tapped in. Next to me is
Aaron Harvey, Southeast San Diego, Pillars of the Community, just for SD33.
You got Mr. Brooks over here, DeAndre Brooks, Commissioner Brooks on the game.
Commissioner
Brooks, right? Southeast San Diego, Western District.
sound like the guy Batman answered to, the commissioner.
We got Alonzo Harvey, Southeast San Diego, Pillars of the Community, you know, tapping in.
Vince, Easy, Paper Grade Futures, City College student, you know, Southeast District, to the Valley though, Eastern District.
Yes, we do got a list of City College folks on over here, you know, my boy Sam.
I'm gonna learn City College.
Aaron Harvey getting ready to transfer.
Yeah.
Oh, he already playing. You look like he's on what you would call it right now.
So,
like board somewhere, yeah.
He already looking. Okay, so yeah, man, this is kind of a continuance of an episode we did a little bit back. We were supposed to talk about gang documentation, racial profiling, and that contest that the SDPD put out to each other to, to target the Southern District. You know, they would get points for arrest. You know, which is totally against the law, but it's something that they actually got caught up on. Had a whistleblower come out the blue and put them out there. You know, but how many times is this going on without somebody blowing the whistle? Is it going on right now? Is it, is it some unwritten rule that we don't know of? You know, so we tapped in with that. Now we're going to get on this. Really, we didn't get to touch the gang documentation piece. So we got people that are involved in the active movement with the removal, the reorganization. What is it? So we're going to really get a brief background on, and got Aaron Harvey in here. You know, he's probably the most versed way more versed than me on this gang issue, so I don't like to run my mouth about things I don't know 1,000,000% about, but we get the people that do around you, you know what I mean? So, Aaron Harvey, tap in one time, let us know, man, give us the background on the gang documentation, where it was and where it is, please.
Okay. Sheesh, where do we start? I think we start with the step back, right? 1988. So in 1988, the step back came about, a Street Terrorism Enforcement and Prevention Act, right? What that did was it expanded the penal code to they call them the Dirty 33, right? So it's 33 laws that were included into the penal code of what could be, charges like gang crimes, right? That's when you got the gang task force, it's in the era of the crack epidemic, things like that. So that was the war on gangs. So then we fast forward, and then we get cow gangs. In the year, I think it was like 1998. Cow gangs was the first California shared gang database. That's where we get gang documentation, right? So it's 10 criteria on how to document a person as a gang member. There is not a person on this planet that pretty much doesn't meet at least 6 of those criteria, right? The state of California says you only need 2 to be documented as a gang member, but our former police chief, Shelly Zimmerman, was so gracious that she said, well, we'll only document you if you meet 3. Right? So then now we got gang documentation, right? And as we all know, we all from this southeast planet, gang documentation is probably one of the #1 things that's been plaguing our communities that have given law enforcement the tools to pretty much wipe out generations generations of people in our communities, right? We all from different sections of Southeast, and all of us can attest to multiple indictments right? Of 50 here, 20 here, 30 here, 15 here, 14 here. People just gone. And the premises has always been gang documentation. These people are a threat to public safety because they're calling them terrorists, right? And that's that buzzword, right? You hear terrorism and oh shit, you know what I mean? Let them go. Lock them up, throw away the key. So you fast forward. There's been like a movement. Really, I think it's kind of been like a uphill battle for a lot of people who've been kind of like trying to shine light on this gang documentation. I think it probably kind of hit a pinnacle moment in 2014, right? When me, my brother, and 31 other individuals were incarcerated under the gang conspiracy law. Pretty much, Penal Code 182.5 in essence states that if an individual is documented as a gang member, they could be held liable for any crime allegedly committed by that gang, whether they had knowledge of it or not, right? So, seventh long battle. Eventually, the case was dismissed, but the majority of people who were on our case signed it, right? And even though our case was dismissed, a lot of those people are still in jail, right?
How many people got off on it?
So there was only, I believe, they split our cases. They split us up. It was so many. That's what's so ridiculous about it, right? So there's so many of us that they had to split our cases up because you couldn't get everybody in the jury box, right? So there's like 4 or 5 different prelims, right? All same evidence or whatever. So I don't really know the exact number of people who kind of got off or whatnot, but I would say well over 90% of them signed deals. But then at the same time, a lot of them were already in prison when
they got the indictment?
Exactly. So when we were charged with these conspiracy to commit 9 shootings, there was no evidence connecting any one of us to these crimes. A lot of those people were already in prison when these shootings happened.
So they just added on to their charges.
Right. So how can I be charged with something if I was already in prison? All right, exactly. Okay, we get that, right? Oh, okay. So we get out and everybody is like, this damn documentation. All right, so then we're like unveiling, you know what I mean, the curtain of what's been on, like pretty much the foundation of how they've been able to dismantle our communities. Right?
And that's when the movement really started right there with everything, when you start realizing that people are sitting at certain tables and plotting on your community, and they start coming for you. And when you don't have individuals that have the platform to speak to it or have the knowledge of what's going on, then they take advantage of our communities and just come through and basically just try to decimate us. But luckily, we had some strong individuals with Aaron Harvey and the individuals that were on this case that took it to a whole nother level. So we got state law changed all the way around. We still continuing to push to this day. I actually serve on the ad hoc committee, the Gang Prevention and Intervention Commission, where we sit down with law enforcement and make sure that they're not documenting individuals and catching people in a large net that don't necessarily need to be there. Of course, there's still a lot of kinks that need to be worked out because, like you mentioned, those criteria, we could just walk out of here and fit 3 of the criteria right now. Just taking a couple of steps outside this parking lot right here. So there's definitely a lot of work still to be done, but I'm definitely really happy and excited about the fact that we have individuals on this front line pushing this movement, and we've been able to bring a lot of attention to this issue and community awareness.
Right. So again, then that's when the audit came out, right?
Yeah.
So we clicked up with Assembly Member Dr. Shirley Weber, and who was like our Maxine Waters, right? Right. She is like
Everybody needs a Maxine.
Right. And she did an audit. She was the chair of the budget, right?
Rewind just a little bit. How did that meeting with Shirley whatever happen?
So it's crazy, right? So I was this when Prop 47 was kicking in, right? So people were advocating for Prop 47, which, if people don't know, Prop 47, which we will be doing a Prop 47 clinic coming up in the near future, so stay tuned. But Prop 47 was passed November 4th of 2014, which took 6 low-level felonies and classified them down into misdemeanors, things like possession. Possession, frauds, theft, things like that. There's 6 of them, right? And I was in a meeting with her, and this is my first time meeting her, and they were talking about Prop 47. I kind of just interrupted the meeting. It was like, you know what, I'm out on bail, $1.1 million to be exact. And they trying to get me like in prison over something that I didn't do, something that they said.
The man said $1.1 million.
$1 million,
Man.
right? Looking at 56 years of life in prison, and she stopped the whole meeting. You know, and she asked me to kind of explain what was going on, and from that moment on, she's just been a real champion up in Sacramento, fighting to dismantle this gang policies, right? So she was the chair of the budget at the time of the state of California. Cal Gangs is funded by the state. So she placed the audit because nobody knew what Cal Gangs was. Coming to find out, there was 158,000 people on the list. 94% were people of color, right? 90% people of color, 94% were males. There were 42 one-year-old babies on this list. This list was being used to deny people housing. This list was being used to deny people access into the military, jobs, and things like that. Put in AB 2298 came about, right? Assembly Bill 2298 did a number of different things, but one of the major things was it added a due process, right? Because they say, you know, if you go 5 years with no police contact, then you're automatically purged off this list. But through the audit and just through, you know, anecdotal kind of like experiences or whatnot, that we know that, you know, one, you're not going 5 years with no police contact. Anybody in here that went 5 years without police contact?
I haven't.
Right? I've never gone 5 years without police contact, right? So what it did was added a due process to where now people can go in to the courts and contest their designation onto the list, right? We just sent our first case through, the second in the state of California. We didn't win at the lower level, so we're appealing it to the 4th, 5th District courts. And then AB 90 came about. AB 90 placed a moratorium on cow gangs, and that's a shutdown, right? So cow gangs were shut down, where they can't document people, they can't add people until they figure this whole thing out. So that's really kind of pretty much like in a short glimpse of what we've been doing with this whole gang documentation and cow gangs thing, and just really kind of going into the community and spreading awareness and letting people know how they're documenting you, how they're incarcerating you, and what we call it is pretty much a criminalization of culture, right? You are criminalizing me based off of how I dress, who I know, where I live. Nothing has to do with actual crime, right? It is not illegal. You don't have to commit a crime to be documented as a gang member, but you can be incarcerated for being documented as a gang member, right? That makes no sense, right? But then with the gang enhancements and things like that, so we just kind of been chipping away. Like we said, Commissioner Brooks, right? We got him on the cow gangs. I mean, on the the gang commission.
Prevention and intervention. Make sure we throw that in there.
Prevention and intermission.
Prevention and intervention.
And then, right. I was just appointed to the Cow Gangs Technical Advisory Committee.
That's right.
Up in Sacramento, where we're going to be going over all of these things of cow gangs and how it's ran and things that need to be taken off, things like that. So.
Hey, so you see what previous to us, who was I talking to this morning? I forgot. We were talking about how these laws and stuff are put into place, and this is like the first real move in generation I've seen going attacking this stuff, and rightfully so. We had a long era where gangbanging was just rampant. You talking about mid 80s, early 80s, beginning of the 90s, we scared all of our seniors. Mm-hmm. We scared our folks with like our parents wouldn't even back us up. Like, they are crazy. Mm-hmm. So anytime they said the word gang, anytime they, you know, these key words that we use, our people would back off. So people that would have normally been allies or fighters, we had, you know, that crack epidemic was touched every black and brown community throughout the United States of America. That, and then you backdoor that with violence and the guns, people were scared. So now we at the end of that, and these laws that were put in place back when are still in existence and being used against people that the law shouldn't be used for. So we have to raise our voice and then also connect with our elders and kind of, you know, shake them up a little bit like, hey, them days is over. We need you. You know what I mean? And get people like Shirley Weber, Dr. Shirley Weber, that has an ear and that's listening. Use radio broadcasts and things like this. Use the media. Get out there and get the word out there and actually get active and get on commissions. And, you know, and start working, or else our voice will never be heard. Never.
Which is very, very important because you want to have that seat at the table. Either you're not at the table and they're going to be making decisions based on, decisions that affect and impact their communities, or we have an opportunity to be at the table to make sure that we can speak to certain things and be like, no, this ain't going to work.
All right. We out.